Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Shedma Read. Today I'll be starting a brand new Goodreads reading vlog. So for this time around, I am actually going to focus on young adult fiction, and I am so excited for this genre. So as always, I have my laptop over here, so let's just go through the top 10 books that I potentially might be reading. So the first book on here is actually Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a book that I will be reading. I am so excited for this book. Definitely cannot wait to read this. And this book basically follows two teenage girls whose father has just passed away in a plane crash. Unbeknownst to the two of them, they're actually sisters, and this book kind of follows the aftermath of it all and how the two of them find each other, obviously with the father's secrets, and why he has a daughter in Dominican Republic but has a whole family in New York City. So this book just sounds absolutely fascinating. This book is written in verse, and I have loved all of her previous books in the past, so I have really high hopes for this one. The next book on here is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book I actually already read, and I really enjoyed. Give this book 5 stars. So obviously I would not be reading this book again, and obviously as you can see here, I actually voted for this book, so I'm really happy that this was actually the runner-up for this category. Then the next book on here is One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is a book that I will be reading as well. This is the sequel to One of Us is Lying, and I really enjoyed that book, so I have also really high hopes for this one. I'm not sure if it's like a direct sequel to this book or if it's kind of like a companion novel of sort where it kind of follows different characters but in the same setting in a way, if that makes any sense. But yeah, either way, I am really intrigued by this book. Then this next one over here is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. This is a book that I will not be reading. I don't know, I just never really had any interest in reading this book, so I will not be picking up this book. Then this next book is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is a book that I will be reading. I've heard really good things. I kind of bought this book on a whim, to be honest, just because I've heard really good things, and I was like, well, I really want to pick up this book as well now. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this one. And this book follows a girl called Liz who always believed that she's too black, too poor, and too awkward to shine, and all she wants to do right now is to escape her rural town. But the thing is, she has no money until she's reminded about her school scholarship for prom king and prom queen. So I guess this book kind of follows her trying to become prom queen to get a scholarship so she can escape her town and go to an uber elite college. I am super excited. I've heard great things, like I said already, so I definitely can't wait to pick this up. Then the next book over here is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a book that I would not be reading, never had an interest in it, so I will not be picking up this book. Then this next book over here is The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. This is the book that I will be reading. This is the third and final book to the Truly Devious series, and this is the only book I haven't read yet, so obviously I'm all caught up. Definitely want to pick up this book and find out what happens next. This is basically about boarding school mystery, unsolved mystery for many years, and Stevie decides to go to attend the school and tries to solve this unsolved mystery. So far it's been really good, so I am definitely invested to find out the ending. Then this next book that I will be reading is Majesty by Catherine McGee. This is a sequel to The Royals. I am all caught up, so I will definitely be reading this book. I have read American Royals so long ago, and I really loved it, so I have also high hopes for this one. This book also follows the same 4 characters in the first book, and there was so much stuff happening in the first book that I definitely cannot wait to find out the continuation and see what happens eventually. Then this next book over here is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is a book that I have already read. I actually gave this book 2 or 2.5 stars. I didn't really like it that much, but obviously I would not be reading this book for this vlog. And the final book on here is The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamber. This is a book that I would not be reading. I had an interest in reading it, but I've heard some mixed reviews, and ever since then I just kind of lost interest, so I would not be reading this book. So anyways, that is it in terms of this very quick intro. These are all the top 10 books from this category, and out of the 10 books I'll be reading 5 of them, 4 of them over here, and the other one I'll probably have to get somewhere. I think I might just purchase it because that is a series that I do have and I want to continue with it, so probably just read it physically as well. But anyways, I'm super excited for this category. I did the same one last year, so I will link that somewhere above in case you want to check that out. Really enjoyed all the books I read then, so, or like most of them, I have to say, not all of them, and hopefully I will be able to enjoy all the books this time around. I have pretty high hopes for though, because I have a few books that are series and I enjoyed the first book, or like all the books previously in the series, that I feel pretty confident that I will love the books in this category. So anyways, I will check back in once I get to some reading. Hey guys, so just wanted to jump in quickly and give you guys an update since I did manage to finish reading one of my books, and that is One of Us Is Next by Karen M. McManus. This one I ended up giving 4 stars. I'm actually doing so well right now with this vlog. I just started maybe a week ago and I actually finished this book already. I'm already halfway through my second book and I just started my third book. So I feel like I'm doing pretty well so far. But let's just talk about this book first. So this book is basically about someone who decides to suddenly send out mass text to all the students in Bayview High and forcing them to play Truth or Dare. He or she randomly selects a player, asks them Truth or Dare, and depending on what they pick, he or she will send out a truth for them, release a truth about them to everyone, or give them a dare. And of course, as the book continues, the stakes grow higher and of course someone dies. This book was actually really good. I feel like I did prefer the first book a little bit more. I don't really remember what I gave it, but I do remember enjoying that book a lot more. I felt so much more invested with the characters in the first book compared to this one. Like, I still enjoyed this book a lot, but it did take me a few chapters to really start to like them, to really get into the story. But it's definitely very fast-paced, very action-packed. I was always very confused as to who the person was, like, behind everything. There were definitely a lot of plot twists going on, and who ended up being was just so out there. I honestly am a little bit disappointed. That's why I ended up giving 4 stars, because I just felt like I can't go into it because spoilers, but let's just say that the person who was behind everything is not someone you have expected, period. I don't want, again, can't say much about it because huge spoilers, but I was not a huge fan of the ending simply because of that. But other than that though, I definitely enjoyed this book. It was very engaging. I was always intrigued by what was going to happen next, who was the next person that was going to be picked for Truth or Dare, what were they going to pick. Overall, this book was interesting and I enjoyed it. That's what I can say for this book. There's not a lot much going for it. I felt like the sequel wasn't super needed in terms of what happened at the end of the first book. It was fun, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't super necessary in terms of having a direct sequel to the first book. Anyways, that's all I can say for this one. It's very short, very quick, and it was a fun read. So I'm happy I finished this one. So anyways, I will check back in later once I finish the second and possibly the third book. So just coming on quickly to update you guys on 2 books that I managed to finish after my last update. The first one that I read is Majesty by Katherine McGee. This one I ended up giving 2 stars. I was so disappointed. So this book basically is the sequel to American Royals, where it follows what happened if George Washington, instead of becoming president, he actually became king, and follows like the present day where there's now like American royal family, and how the next person in line is actually Beatrice, who is going to be the first queen of America. And this book follows kind of after what happened in the first book. And I don't know, I loved American Royals. It was so good. So much drama, so much angst, just so much crazy stuff happening. But in this book, I don't know, I just felt like things just really derailed. I also found out right before filming this video that apparently this is only a duology and not a trilogy. I thought it was a trilogy for the longest time, but I guess Random House only purchased 2 books and they haven't really decided on a 3rd book yet. But the way how this book ends, like, there has to be a 3rd book, but there isn't. And that's also another reason why I became so disappointed, because there's just so much about the ending to this book that I'm like, there's so much left unsaid. It definitely has to have some sort of actual conclusion, and this book was not it. So as a final book in a series, it was just so disappointing. The characters just, I felt like they were a lot more petty in this book, and not only that, but I just didn't have the same spark with them as I had with the first book. Like, I really loved all the characters in the first book. I mean, okay, not all of them, but I enjoyed reading about all the characters in the first book. Whereas this one, I don't know, I just didn't have that same energy while reading it, and everything just felt so lackluster to me. So yeah, I was honestly so disappointed with this book. I mean, I kind of hope there will be a 3rd book, because if there is a 3rd book, then I might actually try to pick it because I want to know what happens ultimately. But this is definitely not how I saw the end to the series. So yeah, I was very disappointed with this one. Then the next book that I finished is The Hand on the Wall. This one I gave 4 stars. This is the final book to the Truly Devious trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. I felt like it was such a good way for everything to end and to kind of encapsulate everything that had happened in the first 2 books. It was just the ending that I wanted for this series, so I was really happy to get that. I'm not really going into the details of this book because it's the last book in the series, but the whole series basically follows Stevie, who is a self-appointed detective. She loves mystery, she loves solving things, and she ends up going to Ellingham Academy, where she decides to find a way to solve the biggest case in the 1920s, I believe, where there was a kidnapping and the daughter was never found, and to this day no one knows what happened to the daughter. There's also a rumored will of a lot of money that will be released if the daughter is never found, so there's a lot of mystery surrounding that as well. There's just a lot of mystery and secrets in this book, and I absolutely loved it. I just love all the dynamics of the characters. The one issue I had with the book in the series is really the love interest. I don't know, I just felt I was never really connected with him. He was introduced in the second book and I was just like, I don't know. I feel like the way how the book ended in regards to the romance, I was not the biggest fan of, hence why I gave this book 4 stars. But in terms of the mystery element itself and the whole case and everything just resolving, I definitely really enjoyed this book. So I was very pleased with how this book ended, how the series ended, and I definitely want to pick up the next book. It's like a standalone, but it still follows along the same characters, so I'm really excited for that book when it comes out, I think later this year. So anyways, that's all to say for this very quick update, and I will check back in later once I finish reading the other 2 books I have yet to read. I was doing so strong with this vlog, and then the last 2 books I was like, I want to read them both physically, but the thing is I started reading The Dragon Republic, which is a very dense book, and I'm only 100 pages into it because it's just so rich, and I kind of fell off the bandwagon for this vlog, but I do hope to pick up one of the book audio at least, and that way at least it'll be faster for me to finish it, because I was kind of like, I want to read it physically, but if I listen to an audiobook I'll finish at least one book within the next like few days. So I was like, let me just go that route instead, so at least I can finish it and yeah, check out another book from my list. Anyway, that's all to say for this quick update, and I'll check back in later. Alright, so just gonna update you guys very quickly. I look like a hot mess right now, mainly because it's a weekday and I am exhausted. I don't usually like to update you guys on weekdays, but because I am so behind on editing and everything, I was like, wait, I can't even edit this video right now because I don't have the clips for it. So yeah, here I am just providing the final update for this vlog. I'm actually so behind on everything right now, just insane, just so many obligations. Usually I try to do everything on the weekend, but this past weekend was just incredibly busy. I wasn't even home the entire weekend essentially, so I couldn't really get anything done. But I do have the last 2 books that I want to update you guys on. The first one over here is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This one I gave 4 stars. I actually ended up listening to this on audiobook and I liked it, but I also feel like it would have been more powerful. I don't know, I feel like I had read The Poet X physically and I really enjoy that, but because I was kind of short on time recently, I decided to pick up an audiobook just so I can get through it faster. And I feel like in a way, I don't know, I feel like I liked how it was narrated, but I also feel like if I had read it physically it would have been more powerful, just so I can like read everything and see everything, especially like with all the line breaks and everything. I felt like that would have been like super powerful, but at the same time the narration was wonderful. It was freaking amazing. I want to say it was done by Elizabeth Acevedo herself, because I believe she had narrated The Poet X herself, but I don't know, I just feel like I don't not regret listening to an audiobook, but at the same time I felt like I would have also enjoyed reading this physically. So I'm not sure if that experience hindered my experience or not, but either way though, I did really enjoy this book. So this book basically follows 2 sisters who don't realize that they actually share a father, and one day their father passes away from a plane accident, and what follows after that is just a series of events where they wonder who the other person is, why does their father have another family altogether, because what was happening was that their father actually had 2 families, one in New York City and the other one in Dominican Republic. So the father was actually splitting his time, like part of the year was in Dominican Republic with his second family, and the other part of time was in New York City with his other family. So it was just really fascinating to kind of see, you know, both of their perspectives and how their lives were just so different because of where they were growing up, etc. Like their experiences there just changed who and how they were, and I felt like that was such a powerful read. So yeah, I overall really enjoyed this. I would say that between the two sisters, I definitely liked Yahaira a bit more, just because I felt like I was able to relate with her a little bit more, being the fact that I was also American, born in America, etc. So I felt like culturally speaking, I was able to connect with her more just because we have a common ground. But on the other hand, I really like Camino's voice as well, just because she provides such insight in terms of how she was raised in Dominican Republic and kind of the dangers she really faced as a woman and as a female. I mean, we face that too in New York City or anywhere in the world really, but I felt like, I don't know, I just feel like in Dominican Republic, like the way how she experienced it was just like so much more intense. But I don't know, I mean, I feel like I don't know, I feel like that's just my personal experience speaking. But overall, I really do enjoy this book. I would say that I did prefer the Poet X as well as The Fire on High a bit more, hence why I get this book 4 stars. I don't know, I just felt like the Poet X just really connected with me. And then With Fire on High was just all about food, and that was also written in prose, so that was very different compared to her other 2 books. But anyways, like I really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend it if you're looking for something amazing to read. Alright, then the next book that I want to discuss is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leigh Johnson. This one I also gave 4 stars. This one I also ended up listening as an audiobook, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was really freaking cute. So this book basically follows a girl called Liz who always believed that she was too black, too poor, and too awkward to shine, and all she wants to do is actually escape her town, and the only way for her to do that is actually receive a scholarship, therefore she can actually attend her dream college and escape her town. But the issue is that something happens and she doesn't get the scholarship that she wanted, and she realizes that she has another chance to get another scholarship, and that is if she becomes prom queen. And so what happens after that is her deciding to put herself forward and see if she can actually become prom queen at her high school. And this book was just so good. I really enjoyed just watching her journey from being kind of like awkward to really embracing herself and loving herself and just being comfortable with who she was, especially with the people around her. Oh, by the way, before I forget to mention, there's actually a romance in here. So there's a new girl in school called Mac, and she is also just trying to struggle with not her identity but being comfortable with her identity and realizing that it doesn't really matter who others think, it matters what she thinks and how she feels. And so I feel like that was just a really powerful message overall, and I just really enjoyed reading about Liz just, I guess, like embracing that about herself and being proud of that herself and not letting that stand in her way. And I just really enjoy that. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend it. It was super freaking adorable. Loved all the messages. I can definitely see why so many people raved about this book because it was really freaking cute. So yeah, overall that's all the books that I read this time around. Let's just kind of go through all the books very quickly. So out of the 5 books that I read, You Should See Me in a Crown I gave 4 stars. Clap When You Land I also gave 4 stars. One of Us Is Next I gave 4 stars. The Hand on the Wall I also gave 4 stars. And finally the last book that I read is Majesty, which I gave 2 stars. So obviously this reading vlog was very consistent. Pretty much all of my reads were 4-star reads. I don't know, I felt like while I enjoyed 4 of the books, I don't know if any of them were like amazing reads or like my favorite book of the year, etc., which is why I gave them all 4 stars. Like I really enjoyed them. I just felt like there was always something missing to make them all 5-star reads. And of course Majesty was just a disappointment. But yeah, that's all to say for this video. As always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. And if you'd like to see more content of me, please just subscribe and hit a notification bell. And as always, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!